welcome back to the Suburban Edge, that place between the country and the city where together we can learn modern homesteading skills. Today I am going to be making French chicken in a pot. I got me a raw chicken right here. Yay! I'm going to bring you down here and show you all the ingredients that you need, and we'll just go for it. One thing I wanted to talk about was I get a lot of questions. Why am I making a channel? Why would a woman in her 50s start a YouTube channel just out of the blue? Well, I had breast cancer and recently had a mastectomy and am still going through chemo treatments. And I really had a lot of time to think about what am I leaving my kids? And the one thing that burns in my heart really is to leave them my recipes or cook with them, teach them to fend for themselves. None of us know how much time we have left on this earth, and I've always thought, like, I have my binders, you've probably seen them in previous episodes of recipes, just recipes, and I always thought, oh, I'll put them in a book, but I'm not ever gonna put them in a book. And this way I get to spend time with them and teach them the fundamentals of cooking, and it's something they can carry with them long after I'm gone. That's one reason. Another reason is I am trying to get used to how I look now. I look so different to myself. I'm scarred up, my hair fell out, I feel like I'm Misty 2.0, and having to edit videos of myself is excruciating, and it's good for me. It's teaching me new skills and forcing me to get out into the world, even if it's virtually, and just explore, I guess, who I am now. And through the grace of God, I'm gonna make it through, and that's all good stuff. So to celebrate, let's make a chicken. Come down here. For this recipe, you will need a 5 to 6 pound roasting chicken, about 2 or 3 cups of potatoes. It can be a whole potato cut up into wedges, or these cute little baby guys, or whatever you have hanging around. 3 ribs of celery, chopped up, kind of in bigger chunks. 1 large onion cut into 6 wedges. 5 large carrots, chopped up kind of big. 5 cloves of garlic, minced. 1/2 tablespoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon pepper. I'm using coarse ground pepper. 1 tablespoon or more of herbes de Provence. Also, you need 3 tablespoons of cold butter cut into 1/4 inch pieces. You'll also need some lemon juice. It can be fresh or bottled. I am taking this handy zip top bag, and in this bag I'm going to place my herbes de Provence, my salt and pepper, the garlic, and I have a spatula for that. I like to mix all that up. We're going to add our butter pieces. Zip it up and mix this around until the herbs and spices are sticking to all of the butter pieces. I want to keep my butter as cold as possible, so I'm going to, once I have it all mixed up, just slap that into the fridge for the next bit. Alright, here's my bird. She's been gutted. All the gross bits that came with it pulled out, rinsed, patted dry with a paper towel. You want to go through and make sure there's no pin feathers, and it's looking pretty good. So now I like to keep it in a kind of a shallow baking dish so that chicken doesn't slide around. If you're using a cutting board, just be careful you don't, shoot your chicken across the room. You're going to take your finger and go between the flesh of the chicken and the skin and just loosen it. You want to get your finger in there as far as you can. I go down into the leg even, and I'm just getting a space between the meat of the chicken and the skin of the chicken. And do that as much as you can. So I'm on the back right now, and I'm going to go down and just separate, loosen that skin, and flip it over and do the same thing on the breast side. And there's just a little clear membrane in there that's pretty easy to punch through. And again, down into the leg. Got my whole hand in there. Alright, and then down into the leg. Okay, so you can see I've really loosened that skin. for this recipe, you'll need a Dutch oven or similar pot that has a tight fitting lid. That's very important. You'll also need flour and water and cooking oil. So you're going to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. You're going to cook your chicken for 13 minutes per pound. Now I'm going to take these pieces of butter and I'm going to distribute them underneath the skin of this chicken. By coating the pats of butter with the herbs, it's going to carry those herbs wherever I put the butter. Now, a lot more are going to go on the breast side than on the back side. And if you like super tender, fall apart, easy chicken, this is so easy. I mean, it's not as easy as going to the store and buying a rotisserie chicken, but this is homemade. And you can put any spices that you want on your bird. This is what we prefer. It's so elegant and simple and easy to do. Butter and herbs de Provence and garlic? Yes, please. I'm going to spin this guy around. And it's okay if you get stuff on the outside. It's all going to go in the same pot, one pot. I don't think I got very much in here, but I can manipulate the butter pats through the skin. So I can move some little cubes down the legs. Just get them where you think you want them to be. They are going to move around and melt forever. I'm going to flip it over, do the back, get every pat of butter underneath the skin. Okay, I think I got all my butter out, and I did. So next thing I want to do is fold the wings up behind the back. It seems a little brutal, but you have to do it. You can tie them, but I find that just a little brute force does the trick. And then we're going to put as many pieces of the onion wedges as possible are going to go deep inside the bird. So make that work. I usually can get about 3 in there. And then I'm going to carefully pour these juices down inside the bird. Now it will run out, don't worry about that. But we're trying to get as much of that lemon juice and garlic inside the chicken. Anything that runs out, I'll be pouring back into the pot later. So this is what it should look like so far. At this point, I would normally tie the legs together with kitchen twine, but I don't have any. I'm going to show you a hack that I like even better. Aluminum foil, about this much. What you want to do is just fold this aluminum foil in half and keep going until you cannot fold this aluminum foil anymore. So this is about where I will stop. You're going to loop one end around one leg, bring the other leg up and over, run it through. What's nice about the aluminum foil is that, unlike kitchen twine, I don't have to hunt for it when the bird is done being cooked. So get this all, oh, I ripped it. Get this all twisted around however you want, as long as it's secure, and voila. All right, next step is we're going to take this bird over to the stove and we're going to sear it on all sides. Yes, the butter melts. This does not matter. You are going to bake the chicken in the same pot in which you sear it, so not a big deal. Okay, you definitely could go farther, a deeper golden brown, so it's just all about presentation. I ripped the skin right here. I try not to, but it doesn't matter. I don't know why I try not to. It's what I'm trying to say to you. I don't know why. It's just a thing, because we don't even eat the skin. When that browns to your liking, you want to remove it to another dish, because you need this pot for other things. It's ready to flip. I'm trying really hard not to puncture the skin. If your pot is small, like mine, you have to get creative with space. Now I have the oven preheated to 450 degrees. You heard me correctly. So I don't have space or depth in this pot to put a trivet in. So I make a trivet out of onions. I'm just putting a base layer of onions down in the bottom of the pot. Then my chicken will rest on top of that. And I also add the celery because it's kind of small. So I threw all my little potatoes in there. I need to liberate my celery. So that's the size I chopped the celery. And I'm making that part of the trivet. It's a food trivet. So far so good. I'm going to put my chicken back in my pot. You're going to put it breast side up. And then just pack your vegetables kind of evenly all around. And I'll show you when it gets all done. You'll say, oh my gosh. So this is a very rustic, elegant, rustic meal. Because all of these veg are going to cook right alongside your chicken. It's like the original one pot, right? You need a tight fitting lid for this next step. We want to put in half a cup of white wine. I'm not measuring it. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, we're going to make some Play-Doh to seal this pot shut. Get yourself a mixing bowl, some all-purpose flour, and some cold water. And you're going to make some dough snakes. You add just enough water so that you can form the dough into a rope. So the dough holds together. And that's looking really good. And you may have to do this depending on the lip of your pot. You may have to do this a few times. So once you have it the consistency of Play-Doh, you're just going to roll it out into a snake. And I will tell you that when you are done cooking this chicken, you will need something to chisel it out of the pot with. What this does is provides a barrier so the steam can't get out. So you're essentially just steaming your chicken, but it is so tender. And if you like rotisserie chicken, if you like really tender chicken, well, this is the way to do it. So I added a little bit, probably could have put a little more water in this, but it's holding together really nicely, but it's starting to show me it doesn't want to behave. We're going to move our pot back over here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Alright, here's our pot. We're going to put this all around the rim of the pot. And it's sort of tricky at first, but if I make it like about 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick, it'll just hang out on the rim of the pot while I do the second half. And then really pinch those ends together because you don't want to let any steam out. Okay, once you get it on there, then you press your lid down really hard, kind of give it a twist, and then just push that dough, push that dough up into that seam. We want that chicken sealed in there. It looks crazy, but it totally works. I'm going to go ahead and put it in a 450 degree oven, 13 minutes per pound. Okay, so a really good cleaning hack for that Play-Doh dough that we made is to take a shop towel, those blue, really cloth-like paper towels, or cloth-like paper towel, and stuff it down in your sink, and use a second paper towel to scrub that out. That way your dishcloth isn't getting covered in goo. The goo isn't going down your drain because you are catching it in a paper towel. And it takes a little elbow grease, but it's definitely worth it, and you need to get on it before it dries. I rubbed dry flour in there to get as much off as I could, and then went to the sink. And cool water is better than really, really hot water, and it takes elbow grease, but don't let that dry. It's basically like glue, so get it on the pot, get your pot in the oven, and then make your first priority to wash that mixing bowl. I hope that helps. It's an important step. Bye. Okay, the house smells pretty wonderful, and it is time for that moment of truth where we take that chicken in a pot out of the oven. I have a screwdriver and a hammer. Probably you want a chisel, but I don't have one. Just don't break the enamel off your pan. This is raging hot, so gotta be careful there. Okay, so if the lid doesn't come off, then you'll need to take your screwdriver and just pick off these pieces of broken dough. Make a little bit of a mess. And again, be careful because, you know, I don't know about you, but my pot was expensive. And I like it. And I'm just trying to get in there. Let's see if it'll come off now. Ah, ha, ha. And we have in here our very delectable looking roast chicken. So now I want to just take this out without having that stuff fall into. We baked a potato into the dough. We want the dough to stay on the outside. That's not the outside, Misty. Woo, that's hot in there. All right, so now I have a mess to clean up, but then I'll plate it up and show you what we have. It smells amazing. All right, here is dinner. It's hot. I'm going to go over to the stove and take the pan drippings and make a little bit of gravy. Before I do that, we're going to tent over this to help keep it warm. A little bit of heavy duty aluminum foil. Alright, we've got our pan drippings here. This is all the lovely stuff that came out of the chicken and cooked with the chicken. And I'm just going to stir up some gravy. You can't see it, but there's a nice layer of fat in there. But I'm just going to supplement it with a little bit more butter. Maybe a tablespoon. Get that all melty. Alright, so that's all melted. We're going to add some flour. You know, some. I don't know, maybe a quarter cup. And cook it around until the flour is brown. And it gets all lumpy. Don't worry about that. And then we're slowly going to pour this turkey stock in here. Stirring the whole time. You want to keep it smooth. That's why I'm stirring so much. And I'm not putting in a ton of liquid at a time. I want to keep it thick. And then as soon as I know I'm not going to have any lumps, you can get a little bit more aggressive about adding your stock. And I'm going to bring that up to a hard simmer. Some people might call that a boil. And it will thicken as it cools. So I'm adding the whole 2 cups. We're not big gravy eaters here, but I had that beautiful, all those beautiful drippings. And it seems like a shame not to make gravy. So what happens in our house is I make gravy, nobody eats it, and then later on it ends up as a soup starter. So it won't go to waste at all. Because this would make a fantastic creamy chicken and noodle soup base. So we're going to just get that heated up and dinner's ready to go. I got this going. We'll have chicken. Earlier today Liam made homemade rolls. So we feast tonight. Tonight we feast. Okay, so it's starting to boil. And I'm going to let that carry on for just maybe 30 seconds or so. And like I said, it will thicken upon standing, but we want to let it simmer. keeping an eye on it until it's the consistency of gravy that we like. Okay, the gravy is made. Check out this beautiful roast chicken. I wish you could come have dinner with us. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And again, thanks for joining me on the edge.